Paul was one of the greatest women suffragists of the 1900s. She not only helped gain women the right to vote, but also helped pave the way for other women to break barriers that no one thought they could. Alice Paul was born on January 11, 1885 in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Her parents were Tacy and William Paul. She had 3 siblings, William, Perry, and Helen. She grew up in a Quaker society, which taught her that men and women are both equal. She went to grade school in the next town over, called Morristown, New Jersey. Alice Paul went to multiple colleges, including Swarthmore College, which her grandfather was co-founder of, Washington College of Law, and University of Pennsylvania. She went on a trip to London and while she was there attended London School of Economics and Political Science. While Paul was at London, she got to experience suffragists at work. She met quite a few popular British suffragists while she was there, including Emmeline Pethick Lawrence and Emmeline Pankhurst. She also did work for the Women's Social and Political Union, or WSPU. Working with the WSPU in London, Paul got to see exactly what they did to get the officials' attention and demand the right to vote. She saw that with victory comes a fight, and the fight is most definitely hard. Not only did some of these women get arrested, but most of the public did not support them either. On January 20th, 1920, Alice Paul returned to the U.S. from London. She got approved to be the chair of NASA, along with Lucy Burns as her vice chair. They didn't take the work at all seriously, or else they wouldn't have entrusted it to us. 2 young girls, Paul said much later. They did make one condition, and that was that we should never send them any bills for as much as $1. Everything we did, we must raise ourselves, writes Deborah Copps, author of Alice Paul and the Fight for Women's Rights. Paul and Burns needed a lot of money and right away. They had decided to organize a big parade in Washington, D.C. to take place on March 3, 1913, the day before President-elect Woodrow Wilson's inauguration. Their congressional committee was starting off with a bang, writes Copps. Alice Paul did many things to try and get the government's attention, especially the president's. This included picketing the White House, doing parades, and protesting. Alice Paul and her 1,000 silent sentinels started picketing the White House in January 1917. They encountered many verbal and physical attacks. Instead of protecting them, the police arrested them on account of obstructing traffic. On August 28, 1917, 10 suffragists were arrested all at once while picketing the White House. During one of her silent sentinel protests, Paul was sentenced to jail, where she organized a hunger strike protest to show she wanted to be treated like a political prisoner, since she was put in there for political reasons. She is the one who started the suffragette hunger strike movement. During this, she was force-fed by a prison doctor. After this happened, she was not the only one who was treated harshly while at prison. On November 14, 1917, 33 suffragists were imprisoned at Occoquan Workhouse. While they were there, they received brutal and unfair treatment. The guards physically abused them by dragging them into their cells and putting their arms in shackles and keeping them like this all night. This is just some of what they faced at Occoquan. On June 4, 1919, the suffrage movement finally started to come to an end when Congress passed the Anthony Amendment. Then in 1920, the bill was finally passed by the Senate, and it was time for the states to make their decisions. After the Senate passed the amendment, the 36 states that we had at the time had to ratify it. The first states to ratify were Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin on June 10, 1919. The last state was Tennessee on August 18, 1920. Every time a state ratified the amendment, Paul would sew a star on a flag like the picture shown. Even after the suffrage movement ended in the U.S., Paul did not stop there. She went on and requested that women's suffrage become a worldwide right, that every woman obtain. On December 12, 1952, she sent a statement to the World Women's Party, saying, "The approaching vote at the United Nations on a treaty for worldwide suffrage for women marks the final stage of the suffrage movement, in which women of all countries have worked together over many decades. If this treaty is adopted by the Assembly and ratified by the government, It will mean the enfranchisement of the women of the entire world, wrote Paul. As you can see, Alice Paul felt that the vote was the first step to full equality for women. She spent the rest of her life, until her death in 1977, working for a new constitutional amendment, the Equal Rights Amendment, which will make sure that every person has the same opportunities and rights. Despite all her hard work and effort, the Equal Rights Amendment has yet to be passed. But without this wonderful woman and all the things she did, women not only in the U.S., but around the world would not be voting today. She truly did make a huge difference in breaking the barrier of women's suffrage.